Christianity Today named my guest one of 50 women most shaping culture and the church today. Millions do life with her daily photographic online journal at one of the top 10 Christian websites. You might not expect the author of 3 New York Times bestsellers to be a farm wife in rural Ontario and the busy mother of 6. My surprise, was Ann Voskamp's latest title, The Broken Way, a daring path into the abundant life. Oh, we're going to break it down here. Ann, welcome back.
Always a joy and a privilege, Moria.
But before we can do that, hello. Your life has had some very significant developments that must be shared.
Yes, we are now the parents of 7 beautiful children. We just brought home Shiloh from China 6 months ago. Shiloh has literally a broken heart, half of a heart. So we had open heart surgery in August, and she has her scar down the center of her chest that she says, "My brave, my brave."
Wow.
Yeah.
A little baby who was abandoned, found at, what,
4 days old. Yeah.
What a story. What another story.
Yes, but you know what? It's all of our stories. We've all been abandoned in some way. We all feel we have broken hearts that we just need someone to reach out and hold us and meet us in that space.
And speaking of broken hearts and desperate need, you are very much involved with another family.
Yeah, as we were working on the paperwork to adopt Shiloh and bring her home from China, we were also working on the paperwork to sponsor a refugee family from Syria. So our family from Aleppo just arrived 2 weeks ago. So they were there for our Thanksgiving dinner around the table, and a family of 6, 4 little ones under the age of 9, and the 3 girls went to school for the very first time in their life on International Day of the Girl. So we are just so excited that we get to open our hearts and our homes to those in desperate need. That I would hope that if it was us, and we were in a dire situation, that there was somebody in the world that would say, "Yes, come home, come home."
Wow. You are actively walking into the broken way.
Exactly.
Of all kinds of people.
Exactly. But I think that's where the fulfilling life comes from. That's where the abundance comes from, is being broken and given and finding ourselves healed in ways we never would have imagined.
Being the gift. 1,000 gifts. A dare to live fully right where you are. This is a woman who lives what she writes. Lisa Turker said of your first New York Times bestseller, that this book would challenge you and mess with you in the most beautiful ways. Yeah, I would say ditto on your latest book. But the thing is, God does it with you first.
Always.
He challenges and messes with you.
I think that we can only write real stories that are authentic once we've tried to incarnate the words, once we live them out, and then put those stories down on paper, because that's where we want the words that actually transform lives, and it has to transform us first.
And I get a feeling, having read the book, that a milestone birthday, let me just say that,
Yes, it was.
is really the architect in many ways of this story. And I have to say, just what you've shared, no wonder you didn't want to get out of bed on your birthday. What a life.
No, I think it was my 40th birthday, and I think you get to sort of midlife, and you wonder, am I writing a good story with my life? Is this what it's meant to be? And sometimes I think in that place where we feel broken, our tendency is to withdraw, as opposed to, the book talks about, to live broken and given is to reach our hand out and turn on a light. Once we reach our hand out, the light does turn on. We reach out and we touch other people's brokenness and find our own brokenness healed. That in healing others, we find ourselves healed.
Right at the beginning of the story, I think you were still in bed, perhaps.
It could be.
At this point, when your daughter Shalom, who is 11 now, comes with a heart, a paper heart, that tears, that rips, and she says, out of the mouth of babes,
It's so true.
maybe the love gets in easier where the heart broke open.
Yes, she wanted me to tape a heart right to her, and as we were taping it, the heart ripped, and I thought, oh dear, she's going to cry right here. At the time, she was only 3 or 4 years old, and she said, "No, it's okay, Mama." And those are always the best words to say. It's okay. We can trust that what is happening, it's all going to be okay. It's for our good and God's glory. And then she says that where it's broken is where the light gets in, where the love gets in, Mama. And I guess that maybe that's really what the broken way has been about for me, is sometimes we disqualify ourselves and say, I'm too broken to come to the table. I'm too broken to help the world in any way, to change the world anyway. I'm too broken to belong. But actually in that brokenness, if we can step out into the brokenness and give out of that brokenness, we can find the deep connection and communion we're desperate for and be part of changing and healing the world, which is so satisfying and fulfilling for us personally.
Ann, you are a literary rock star. You are now the mother of 7. I don't know how, you talk about hanging out laundry in this book.
I need to go out and hang out laundry to breathe,
When does
Moira.
she get time to even do laundry?
Oh, I need the sunshine.
So what was keeping you? What weight was holding you in bed on your birthday?
I think, writing 1,000 gifts and giving thanks for 1,000 things, going out and meeting people who had written out their 1,000 gift list and hearing the brokenness of their stories, the hard places that they had given thanks in, and really knowing that the world is so broken-hearted. How do you, I think those are the big questions we're all dealing with is, what do you do with your broken heart? All of us are carrying unspoken broken. What is the answer to pain and suffering in the world? And how do I live an abundant life in the midst of that brokenness? And I think those were the things I really wanted to wrestle out because we only all have so much time. And how do we find abundance in the midst of brokenness and realizing that maybe the brokenness, all these broken pieces, does make abundance right in the midst of the brokenness.
I don't know anybody who can turn a phrase as readily and frequently. Like, it seems about every third sentence don't try to speed read this book because you're going to want to think it through. Listen to this. God sees the broken as the best, and he sees the best in the broken, and he calls the wounded to be the world changers.
Isn't that the most exciting, liberating truth? That those who feel too wounded, that feel like they don't belong.
The scripture to back this up.
Totally. That those are the people. We look at David, we look at Elijah, we look at Hannah. They look like the ones that are the most disqualified, the ones most broken. And those are the ones that God uses. If you feel too wounded and too broken, there is space for you at the table to be part of the feast. We need you to come with your broken. There's communion and a feast to be made out of that brokenness. The people don't ever trust leaders who don't limp. And I think we trust people who know what it's like to be wounded, who know what it's like to have a broken heart. We're safe with those people to share our own brokenness. And then out of that comes this abundance we're desperate for.
And I think most people who know you, who follow you, know that you've had tragedy in your life. A sister who was tragically killed. I sense depression is
always lurks.
A thing that lurks
It does.
around.
Yes, it does.
And that's implied here.
Yeah.
You have to make choices.
I think we have
that
to preach
keep you.
gospel to ourselves all the time. I'm a woman of chronic soul amnesia. I'm constantly forgetting. I'm preaching gospel back to myself and really living out those verses from Isaiah 58. In the midst of our own darkness, if we can go ahead and spend ourselves on behalf of those who are oppressed, then the light rises as noonday for us. And it's counterintuitive, it's paradoxical. You think in the midst of the darkness, I need to pull back in and take care of myself. But if we can go ahead and say, no, those who reach out, who heal others, find healing. We can find light in the midst of our darkness. It moves us beyond ourselves.
So tell us what you did.
I did.
On your 40th birthday, when you got out of bed.
And it's not what I wanted to do at all. But we went ahead and I gathered up a whole bunch of gladiolas, put them into mason jars, went into the nursing home, and gave them to those who feel oftentimes forgotten. We went ahead and I called it Gift Blitz the Town. Go ahead instead of, I don't know if we can pay it forward, but we can give it forward.
Is that your acrostic?
Yes, it's gift.
G-I-F-T. I love this.
Yes, give it forward today. I counted 1,000 gifts, 1,000 things that I was grateful for, and I realized I've been given so much. I can give out of all of this grace. So go ahead and give it forward today. So we went ahead and we gave coffee to people. We paid for the people behind us. We went into a restaurant, paid dinner for people. I'll tell you, my darkness started to lift. You start to see the joy in people as you start to give forward. And as an introvert, that wasn't necessarily easy. But I started to realize time is made for this. Time is made to be broken and given. The deep joy we didn't experience in gift blitzing the town, going to the dollar store and leaving dollars at the candies part of the store and watching kids going up and going, oh wow, there's a dollar right here.
You put quarters right in the machines.
We put quarters in machines. and doing this with our kids, it was...
what modeling. Fabulous.
The joy we didn't experience, and it's true. it is far better to give than to receive. It was deeply fulfilling in ways that I didn't expect at all. And it did. It became a way I wanted to live my life. Give it forward today. Could I do one thing just like 1,000 gifts? Could I think of even one thing? There's something always to be thankful for. And if there's something to be thankful for, there's at least one thing I can do to be the gift today, to give it forward today, to live broken and given out into the world and find
Which is what God did.
Totally. He lives that
love.
cross, right? He lives broken and given out into the world. And if I could live broken and given out into the world, I would find myself fulfilled. I would be the one who would be fed in deep, hungry places.
There's one other thing you did that day, and I wouldn't mention it except you wrote about it. You alluded to it. You're rubbing your wrist.
Yeah. I really struggled after my sister was killed. I write about that in 1,000 Gifts. She was killed in front of my mother and I. She was run over by a truck in our farmyard, which sort of set off chain events of my mother struggling with deep depression and heartbrokenness and psychiatric wards all through my teenage years. And I started to cut through my teenage years to deal with deep pain that I didn't know how to express or work out. And I ended up going ahead and just picking up the same pen that I've been writing out 1,000 things I was grateful for. And over the scars on my wrist.
Oh, you've got it on
Yeah,
today.
yeah. Always,
Do you apply it every day?
Every day. I want every day my life to be formed and shaped by the cross. To live cruciform over top of my scars. I put the cross. That's my new identity. That's who I am now in Christ. I want to take everything, that vertical beam that comes down, all the grace that comes down, all my gratitude rises up. But then in the midst of that horizontal beam, how do I live broken and given out into the world? And I think you look at the current cultural landscape, there aren't quick fixes to the suffering that we're experiencing in the world at all. But I think there's a broken way answer to those deep pains. How do we live courageously and break away from the fears? How do we live vulnerably, breaking open our hearts? How do we live sacrificially, broken and given? And I think the broken way is the answer to the current suffering we're experiencing in society right now.
Oh, Ann, we've just taken the icing off the top. I've lived in this book for days, and I will live in it for days more. And I want to mention the farmer. He's mentioned throughout the book. That would be the husband, the hard-working farmer, whose name is not through the pages, the farmer. But he says, never be afraid to be broken.
No.
And that's why the wheat is on the front cover. The seed going into the ground and dying,
It looks like
completely losing
destruction.
itself.
It looks like destruction when that seed breaks open, but growth comes from those broken places. Never be afraid of a broken thing or being a broken thing, because this is how he's remaking everything. This is how he's resurrecting everything. And I realized in my own life, everything that I was afraid of, it was because somewhere along the line, I was afraid of a broken thing. And if I can go ahead, find the fears, I'll find the idols, break them, and let new life come out of those places.
From 1,000 quotable quotes and truisms, like this one, you never have to overcome your brokenness to claim God's love.
That's amazing.
His love has already overcome your brokenness and claimed you. How about that? Walk through these fresh thoughts, this healing journey with Ann Voskamp. It's just out. The Broken Way, a daring path into the abundant life. And God bless you.
No, thank you, Moria.